Hey,
Hey, how
how
are
are you?
you? Long
Did you?
time no see.
I know it's been a while. Did you hear me just now in the kitchen when I was getting my cup of coffee?
No.
Oh, I I guess it blurs out all background noise because I was like, well, that didn't work as expected. So you know how I just said that after coming back from visiting you in Vancouver yesterday, and of course in the flurry of getting ready for the audition for the Great Canadian Baking Show season 9, my kitchen was not in great shape. Tell me, did your husband clean your kitchen for you by the time you got home?
No, he did
Okay.
not.
All right. Well,
And
that's
and
okay. We
and
didn't
one of the
expect it.
major reasons why he didn't though was because I had like bits of components all over, right? So we had
Right.
some tempered chocolate, we had some chocolate in other bowls, we had
Yeah, we had a
the
lot of things all over the
we
place.
had a lot. Like most of the stuff that was left over had things on it, and he's
Right.
like,
Didn't want to mess with it, right?
exactly,
I
exactly.
get you, Erwin. No
So
problem. And my
I
husband didn't clean up anything either.
Yeah, so I
So,
got all my kitchen is kind of back to normal. I'm drying air drying some of the, like the molds and that
yeah,
kind of stuff, but everything's like almost back to normal.
perfect. So my husband didn't clean the kitchen either for me, which is fine. I appreciate it every time he cleans the kitchen, but he doesn't need to clean up my mess when I make a big mess and then jaunt off to Vancouver overnight. Um, and I spent my afternoon getting everything clean, and I cleaned the inside of the microwave. I scrubbed the sink with Vim and I washed the floors, everything, right? And so just now when I went in to get my coffee, I went to put some honey from the honey container into my coffee, and it dropped off the spoon and splashed my coffee all over the countertop and all down the sides. And so I was bringing it over to the sink, and I was like, well, I'll just lick the side of my cup because there was honey drizzling down the side. And that was not good either because then my coffee sloshed out of my cup all over my clean floor. So that didn't work as expected.
Oh, no.
Anyway, so I cleaned everything up and now here I am
There
to
you go. Well, you were very
you.
quick and efficient because you weren't gone that long. So,
Thank you. Well, I didn't wash the whole floor. I just spot washed with a paper towel, but I have
but
to check it later.
you know what my husband did do, which I thought was very sweet? He had dinner all ready to go and in the oven waiting for my arrival.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. And my husband picked me up at the ferry.
That was
They're,
sweet.
they're good men. We
They are.
appreciate them very much.
We are very, very
We're
lucky,
not
lucky.
disparaging them. We're just leading up to the fact that I just cleaned my kitchen. That was all I was doing there. So we had a busy day yesterday.
We did.
By
It
the
was
time
so
this
much
airs, it'll
fun.
be a few days ago, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, what a fun day it always is at the auditions for Great Canadian Baking Show. I can't believe they are casting for season 9 already.
Oh, I
And
believe
it
it.
was just so wonderful to see, like we were talking, on the way in, we were excited to actually connect up with people we haven't seen for a year,
Hmm.
live and
Yeah,
in real person,
I know.
in real life. And then connecting with some of the alumni and
Yeah,
Bruno, of course, and then the whole
yeah.
wonderful team from Proper Television and that whole wonderful crew.
They're
Um,
amazing.
they
They do
really
such
are,
good work. I am
and
so impressed.
so sweet and
Yes.
gracious and kind.
Yes.
It was so nice.
Yeah. Shout
Yeah.
out to well, Sarah and Grace and Mark and Jag, who was working for them just here in Vancouver
Mhm.
for this particular audition process. We're very excited that we got to meet him.
Yeah, and Jenny, the photographer,
Jenny,
as
the
well. She's
photographer,
sweet, and
and
all the
Meredith.
other. Yeah.
Yeah, an amazing, amazing group of people. And then we got to see Amy, who's one of our Vancouver Baker friends. We got to see Melanie. We got to meet some new people, some cookies by Beth.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness,
oh
those
my
were
goodness.
incredible. And then
Yes.
Kate, who came all the way from Kamloops,
Yes. Oh my
and
goodness.
her
Everybody
and
just did such a great job.
yeah, and her mousse cake, that orange chocolate mousse cake with like the little
Yeah,
surprise orange baked like in the mousse itself
that was
was
so.
mind-blowing.
Yeah, so she was worrying about when you cut into it if it was going to be if the orange that she had baked into her mousse or set into her mousse was going to be visible. And it was so much fun to watch her come out and just be like, it worked, and to
Yeah.
get to see her the orange profile, I guess is how you say it. Um, Beth Carson Cookies is
Oh,
so follow her on Instagram. Do you have Kate's?
I do. I do have
Yeah.
Kate's. I can find it here.
But Beth
Um,
Carson cookies were the ones that really, really, really got me. She did the most amazing uh, royal icing cookies,
oh,
just such beautiful designs and all Great Canadian Baking Show themed, just gorgeous. So follow her at Beth Carson Cookies. And yeah, we've got baking with Van Amy and what else have we got? Stress
Dressed
Baker
Baker PhD.
PhD. You got to follow these people because these are some amazing local-ish BC bakers, and BC bakers, they just do us proud.
Hmm.
So yes,
Hmm.
auditions or the open call for season 9 of the Great Canadian Baking Show was a huge success and a wonderful fun day. And now we get to see and wait and see what happens. And your
Yeah.
bake, my dear, was beautiful and
And
delicious.
right back at you. Yours was
Thanks.
stunning and elegant and filled with beautiful, beautiful flavors. And your layers came out so gorgeous as well.
They did.
So,
I was really happy. And
yeah.
Chris really, my husband, Chris really, really loved the lemon punch of flavor and the cherry compote in the center of your beautiful cubes.
Thanks.
The petit gâteau that you that you put together. So very well done. I'm glad I convinced you to audition this year.
I'm glad you did too. I would have really missed out, and I would have been suffering horrendous FOMO if I hadn't gone.
Yeah,
So thank you for
the
giving me
niggle.
that extra little nudge to do it this year.
I
So
wouldn't want to be there without you. You know?
well, maybe I could have just come along for moral support.
Mm-mm. No, no, because you created one of the most beautiful bakes. She made these cherries. People thought they were real cherries. They were on the top of her little beautiful cube um, cakes, mousse cake or lemon curd cakes, sorry. And the cherry itself was made out of a tiny little dollop, dollop, I'll say, of cherry mousse with a little pit made out of cherry compote in the center, and she coated them in white chocolate that had been colored this beautiful cherry color. And then the stems were all tempered dark chocolate. And it was absolutely beautiful. People had to do a second take every time, a double take every time they looked at them and didn't realize that they were completely edible and completely delicious. So,
Oh, well, they were fun to create. And that was after a few pivots because as you know, I shared with
I
you
was
my
there.
original vision for the bake and
Yes.
it was the only thing that was standard was the cube and the flavors and that profile, but everything else, the cherry on top and then that the sand that I did with it as well were
Yeah.
they were not the part of the original idea.
And they worked out.
So yeah.
It just
So
really made it. The sand that you put, the completely edible sand again, beautiful. It just really just bumped up the whole presentation. So
thanks. Thank you. And yours, like I said, the picture of elegance and sophistication with the elderflower mousse, and you had that blackberry cream layer, the white chocolate feuilletine crunch layer that you had, which was, oh my God, so good.
a little
Uh,
too thick, I think, but it was real
uh,
tasty.
no, it was, you know me, I love crunchiness.
Get that
So
crunch.
that was brilliant. And then the passion fruit gelée, which I'll give you a pass for because I'm not a massive fan of passion fruit, but the way it was incorporated in your beautiful bake was just stunning.
You.
And your mirror glaze was perfection.
Well, that was a dancing moment when that mirror glaze worked. After that was my third try. You know that I was texting you with my issues.
Yeah.
And so it was very exciting to have that turn out the way that it did. And yeah, I feel like it was a highly successful day for
It
both
was
of us.
really good. It was so
Yeah,
much fun.
for many
And
others.
speaking of, you know, the great British Bake Off franchise, another one that is really kind of fun to watch and that we got into this
Mm.
for me this last season.
Yeah.
and that is the Great Aussie Bake Off. And we are so lucky that we have the three finalists who made it into the shed that we're going to be interviewing one by one. And our first one that we're releasing today is none other than the singing baker, Elliot. And we're going to have such a fun conversation with him. And I hope you guys will join in the fun. And the next week, we're going to have Dimi. And the week after that, we are finishing off the great Australian Bake Off series with Arvin, who was the ultimate winner of the
Spoiler alert.
Season 8. Spoiler alert. Yes, if you haven't seen it.
Spoiler alert.
Maybe you should do this beforehand. But anyway,
we'll make a note of it in our show notes.
So let's welcome in Elliot.
Chaos!
There
it's
you
chaos
go.
Here. Just 1 second. I'm just putting this cake in the fridge.
That's perfect.
That works for me.
I was just relaxing, and then I thought, I'll just do that job while I wait, and then time has just passed, and now it's just all happening. So let me just move that there. Let me take this apron off.
Why?
It's all good. The apron looks good.
It's all part of the baking vibe, but it is so hot today. So.
Oh yeah, you guys have summer.
Yes.
Yeah, we are in the summer. It's about 32, and it's so humid today. It's crazy. So
I'm gonna say I'm a little bit jealous of that because we are just going into winter over here.
It's kind of cold here. Not as cold as other parts of Canada, but it's cold.
But I feel like it does really need to be cold as you run up to Christmas.
That's true. It's kind of
true. It's cozy time of year, right? So it's kind of nice to be able to put the fire on and, drink hot bevies but Christmas must be so different in Australia.
It really is. I'm so sorry. My internet is just jumping around.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Can I just quickly change over to my phone? It'll take me 1 second.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no problem. I'm still trying to figure out my light, so that sounds good.
Where are we here? I'm going to go over to my phone. It should be easier.
Okay, sounds good. And I'm going to have to leave in what time? 30 minutes, Cristina, to go get my cake.
Yeah, I guess.
Out of the oven.
That's okay. We'll keep the convo going, I'm sure.
I'm sure you will. Have you been following Elliot's journey on the Australian Bake Off? That looks exactly the same.
There we go.
Yeah.
You're on your phone now?
That's on your phone?
I'm on my phone, yeah.
Well, nothing changed. I mean.
Oh, no, sorry. As in, I'm on my phone's Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. I see. I was like, wow. How does it look exactly?
Yeah, I was like, that was seamless. How is that done? What sorcery did Elliot use to make that happen?
That should be better. Sorry about that. Apologies.
Oh, good.
We started this podcast in May, end of May, June, basically, and it was nothing but technical difficulties for months on end. I don't know why we persevered, but for some reason we did. And we finally have figured much of it out, but still today, like Cristina looks incredible. Normally she has some problems with her light and with her sound.
Trying to figure out.
She sounds great.
Yeah.
So
it's hard, isn't it? I know I've got pretty, because I teach singing as a full-time job, so I've got pretty used to teaching on Zoom, especially over COVID. So I'm quite used to it now. So you get into a bit of a routine, don't you? But at first it's always tricky.
Oh, always. And there's always something that happens, right? There's always like a little technical glitch. And, like Lisa mentioned, we started this, 6 months ago. Neither of us had any experience running a podcast. I hadn't even listened to a podcast before we started this one. Full truth.
Brilliant.
I don't know if I knew that.
No, but sometimes you need that naivety to just go ahead and go for it.
Right? It's true. We're just like, okay, let's just figure it out. And then we're like, Oh my gosh, this is a
Let's
lot.
let's build that plane while we fly it. That's exactly
Yes,
what we've done.
absolutely. I
It
love
must
it.
be so hard to teach singing over Zoom though because of the delay.
Yeah, it's tricky. It is tricky, but we managed to get a bit of, good routine with it over COVID. We had lots of practice,
Yeah.
so you can do it. It actually can be quite beneficial. But it is, I personally think, always better in person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair enough.
definitely.
So do you still do a lot of your lessons over Zoom, or have you gone back to in
Yeah,
person,
we're
or is
back
it a
in.
mix?
I'm back in the studio now, so I don't really do much on Zoom now at all. Occasionally, I teach a couple of people over in LA, so occasionally I jump on with them, and there's just here and there, if people are on tour and things and they need some help, it's so beneficial for that, especially if we've worked together already. You can be
Yeah.
quite quick and efficient with it. So, but mainly back in the studio, yeah,
Yeah,
teaching
Yeah.
face to face.
that's
My
very
son took some singing lessons and they required masks, and it's just such a pain. Like they were
Oh,
in person, but they had to sing with
first,
masks on.
so tricky. It was so tricky. It was a real challenge. But yeah, I mean, I actually built my business through COVID massively because
Wow.
I put on some free courses. Just thought, oh, I'll just do a few free courses, fill my time. It just
That's a
blew
good
up. I
way.
had like hundreds of people on the Zoom call, hundreds. It was insane.
That is amazing.
Wow.
I mean, out of COVID, I mean, it was such a crazy time for so many people, and still continues. We've got some residual effect of COVID, obviously, but to be
Definitely.
able to actually take your business and what you do and be able to expand it in that way. I mean, there were so many great things that came as a result of COVID, and that was one of the things, just your
Yeah,
Mhm.
reach.
Yeah,
yeah,
You could
that's for
extend
sure.
it everywhere instead of being focused in a
absolutely.
studio.
It was pretty amazing. I was very, very lucky during that time, and since then, I've been very lucky with my business. It's been, you know, this year's been a blow away year. I've not had a single free slot. I get booked up months in advance. I teach, some of the best singers in Australia. It's been incredible year for the business,
Yeah.
without even thinking about all of the
The
Bake
other
Off stuff
stuff.
that's
The
happened.
stuff.
And I know it's I must say that it's got to the end of the year, and I'm ready for a bit of a shutdown because it's been so intensely full on.
Yeah.
Especially the end of the year. The last few months have just been insane.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're going to get a bit of a break. You're actually our last interview for the year, and we're going to
Oh,
take a break
good.
for a
Yes.
month or 5 weeks, basically, and just kind of, you know,
Decompress, reset.
yeah.
You need the time off to be creative, to think about how you can move forward, to think about what you're going to do next. I feel in a bit of a rut at the minute, and it's because I've not had any time off to just let my mind run wild, so I can find what I want to find and refine what I want to do.
Yeah.
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 Is that kind of how you attack things, generally speaking? Like, all right, well, where am I going to go now? What am I going to do with my life?
Yeah, I'm pretty efficient in my thinking. If I come up with an idea, I normally just attack it straight on and give it a good go, and then have a bit of time away from it to go. Let's just see where that's at. And that is generally in life as well. I just make the decision and think, well, if I'm committing to it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Do it for a set amount of time, and then I can just reflect on it,
Yeah.
and just go, okay, that was good, that was bad. I need to do more of that or less of that. I guess that's where I'm at now with baking things and my Instagram, and just sort of like trying ideas out, seeing what people might like, and hoping to move forward a bit more with that.
That's
That's so
great.
cool. So let's start at the beginning. Where did you find your passion for baking? When did that happen for you?
It's such an interesting question because I've obviously been asked this loads over the last few months. And I'm like, I've never found it. It's just been part of it's been part of my life. And so to pinpoint a time, well, to pinpoint a thing, it would be the women in my family, my grandparents and my grandmas in particular, and my mum. That would absolutely be the where the passion has come from. But when it started, I'm not sure. I was even thinking last week, I was looking through some old pictures and going way far back, and I was like, I was baking at uni, I was baking when I was at school, we were cooking stuff at home, and then I've always baked things, and I mean now it's sort of up to level,
Hmm.
but it almost hasn't. It's just always what I've done.
It's just the
Um,
natural progression, really.
and it just feels like it's the way of life because we had massive baking days. We grew up on farms, and there'd be big baking days. I think it was Tuesday on my grandma's farm. What was the big farm? And Tuesday was the baking day, and she would crack on Tuesday and just get everything done for the week.
Hmm.
There'd be
Wow.
trays of scones, there'd be pies, there'd be cakes, there'd just be everything. And that was the efficient way to live. We didn't have to go and buy things. We didn't have to go to the supermarket. Everything was done and everything was ready to eat for the week. We were eating stuff that we'd grown. We were eating things that came from the garden. And so it feels like, it just feels like how I live my life now. And I always find it so interesting. I was talking to a chef last week, and he was talking about his new restaurant that he's opening, and it's this farm to table idea, and everything will be grown in the garden. And we were laughing because I was like, that is literally like what I was grown up on. That's like,
It's just normal.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel special, but
apparently
it
it
feels,
is.
yeah. And I think looking back now, when as a grown up, well, if I can call myself a grown up, I feel like looking back at my childhood, it was special. It was
Mm.
special, and it's given me this love for food and this passion for, in particular, baking.
Yeah.
I love it, and I just love. I'm an en masse type of guy. Like I think it comes from just like that. Tuesday was the day everything was done.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
I've got this my magical abilities to be able to just like have 50 people could turn up like here in the next couple of hours and I would be able to feed them. Like I can just do food en masse.
That's
That
an
is amazing.
awesome skill.
So
And
on
Dimi,
those,
sorry, Dimi, who I did the show with,
Yes.
she always says to me, she's like, I just don't know how you do it, but one minute you're there and the next minute you're like, the table is full of food. I'm like, I know, it just happens.
It's
Okay,
in your
remind me
blood.
that to come and visit you because that's
Yes.
very good.
So on Tuesdays, then, what was your role as part of that family baking day?
Yeah, it was, well, we were just sort of always around. So we'd be helping mixing and we'd be helping, we'd be getting involved with all, like everything. And it's hard to pinpoint, it's been quite interesting the last few months because I've been really trying to pull memories because I know it was there and I'm trying to find them and think about, and I can't really answer that question. Just, we were around. We were always getting involved. My other grandma, my grandma Chris, she would be very sort of like she would get things like she'd bring us seaweed and we'd try seaweed in the microwave like because we'd never tried them flavors, so we'd be trying maybe different things. When we were younger, I mean, I think when we did seaweed and we had the microwave on fire one year when I was really quite young. So that would be like another avenue. And then if I think about how I was involved in, I mean, at Christmas time on the farm, so at Easter, we'd get the chickens and we'd get the turkey babies, and then we'd grow them, and then we'd go through the process of making sure we had chickens and turkeys on our tables at Christmas.
Wow.
And
That's true farm to table.
that was all done on the farm. And, I remember being really involved in that. Granddad would do the deed and then pluck them. And there'd be, lots of men around, and then they would all pluck it. And then it'd go to grandma, she would gut them, and then my job was to weigh them. So I remember that being a real specific job. I would weigh them, write down the weights, then we'd lay them all out on the tables. And then the week before Christmas, people would just be coming to the farm and picking up the turkey from the local area or the chickens. Oh my God, and they just taste so much better than anything you can ever get.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like I can remember roles like that, But you know, just in terms of the actual the baking rolls, we were always mixing and pouring and getting involved and generally eating a
Yes.
lot.
So
I
that
mean,
was your role.
Best
You
bit.
had the important role. You were the quality control. You were in charge of quality control.
taste
Yeah,
testing.
absolutely.
So let's just, for people who have not been watching the Great Australian Bake Off or baking show, whatever they call it, depending on your geographical region, because like
Yeah.
it's weird how British and Australian are different in one place than the other. But
Yes.
because here we're the Great Canadian Baking Show, but
Mm.
here British is also the Great British Baking Show, which sounds just strange to me.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, right,
And I
okay.
can't remember what they call Australian, but I
Bake
Where
off.
the Great Australian Bake Off, yeah.
Bake Off. That's good. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So for people who have not been watching you on the Great Australian Bake Off, they may recognize that you don't really have an Australian accent.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about where you came from and how you ended up in Australia?
So I'm originally from Yorkshire in England, just outside a town called Hull. So that's where I grew up. Then I had sort of a big journey in my 20s going around England and doing quite a bit of work in America. And then, yeah, I went to a good friend's birthday party in London. He was 30, and I got there, and there was this guy there called Andrew, and he was from the same village that I am from, but living in Australia.
Ah,
Ah,
Uh, and he was like, "Oh, let me buy you a drink," and all this. I was like, "Get lost!" I'd actually just come off a cruise ship contract, and I was like, just in the frame of mind of like, I'm in London, it's summer, I'm just having a good time. Get away from me. So this happened, and the day went on, and then we got sat together at the dinner table, and I was sort of in a place where I was like, you know, my work in London was good, but I was getting tired, and I'd been doing it for quite a while, and some of the jobs that I'd done were really quite high intensity,
mhm.
and I was ready for a break. I was ready for a rest, and he lived in Australia, so he said, "Well, why don't you come over to Australia for a year and give it a try?" So I thought, "Oh, okay, let's do it." So I jumped over here, and not long after I'd been here, we went into lockdown. It was the full COVID thing, so
Oh,
it was really quite quick. So
oh, you were in
how it all,
the best place to be for COVID though.
yeah,
I
it was
mean,
good. It
wildfires
was
and
good.
stuff aside, COVID,
Yes,
Australia was excellent in their response to
yeah,
COVID.
they managed it really well. They did. So that's sort of how I arrived here. It was all very unexpected, and so now I live in Australia with a guy who is from the exact same village that, well, 5 minute drive from each other's house. He was a
that
year
is.
below me in the same school, same primary school, same secondary school. It's weird.
So did you recognize him at all? Did you know who he was, or you had
No,
never, even though you
no,
were
I didn't recognize him at all. I'd only recognized his name really because my friend James had told me about him, and I just thought he was a bit of an idiot. Um, from stories that I'd been told, so I just wasn't having a bar of it. Anyway, here we are, still together 5, 6 years later. So
You
interesting.
going
changed your
strong.
tune.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it
wasn't so bad after all.
it wasn't. It was. No, I did change the tune. I know. We joke about it now. I'm like, oh my god, so funny. I honestly was not having a second of it. I was like, just wait for me.
And now here you are, living in
I know.
Australia.
That's crazy how like one moment in time can change the trajectory of your life in such a dramatic way.
Yeah, and that's it. And then you look at the last 5 years, and you certainly look at the last couple of years, and you go, just crazy how just things are meant to be, and things fall in place.
Yeah.
I was ready for a change when I left London. I was ready for
Mhm.
something different, and I got that. And then this has happened, and this is something different, and a different energy, a different direction. So it'd be interesting to see what happens next.
No
Yeah,
kidding. So
absolutely.
how did you end up on Bake Off?
So that was so out of the blue. We'd had a Easter party here, we ended up, we live in a one-bed flat, and I was like, I'm just sick of not being able to have big parties because it's not huge. So I said, I'm inviting 12 people. I'm cooking for 12. That's what I'm doing. So we had a big trestle table put down our kitchen trestle table, and then our normal dinner table, what I'm sat at now. And we managed to get 12 people, and I wanted 12 because all of our friends had parents visiting.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our friends was here with her mum, and her mum was like, and I'd been messing around for days for this dinner party. I'd made my own butter and made cultured butter with kefir grains. I'd been doing everything. Yeah, I was like, just, and it had been ongoing for a week. So she was like, you need to apply for the Bake Off. You should definitely do it.
Mm.
And laugh, joke, few wines, laugh, joke. Then we started filling out the application form. And then I left it. I was like, I'm not going to do it. Because like, as if they're going to have me on the show, like, it's not going to happen. And then I got an email saying, can you fill out the form? And I just deleted it because I thought, they want me to fill out the form, but it's not going to, I was like, they're not going to have me on. I'm not wasting my time. I'm busy. I've got a busy business. I'm like, I'm not doing it. Then someone called me, and then because I'm a very loyal person, if I speak to someone and tell them I'm going to do something, I will always do it. I said, and she said, look, please promise me you're just going to fill out the form. And I was like, oh, but it's just a waste of time. I was like, and she was like, no, just fill it out. Go on, please fill it out. I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I did it, and I literally just dictaphoned into my phone for the form, and then it wanted a video, and I'm like, oh. So I picked up this loaf of bread and did this stupid video eating the bread, and I was like, woo! What I wish I still had, but I don't. And I sent it, and I thought, I've done it. I've made my promise to the person I think she was called Paige. I'd made my promise to her, and I thought, well, that's done. I'll leave it there. And then they were like, oh, come on, can you come and do a Zoom? So the Zoom interview happened, and I was like, oh, that. And then it left my mind again. Then the second Zoom, then I was like, oh, hang on a minute.
Something's happening.
Something's going on here. And it felt good. I knew from the beginning.
Yeah.
Even though I was like, I'm not doing it, there was an energy.
Mm-hmm.
So then from that point on, I was like, okay. So then they asked me to do some sort of like test that was at home and do a cake, and then they wanted something else and some pictures. And as soon as that happened, I knew. I just said, I said to Andrew, I said, I'm going to be on this. I'm actually going to be on it. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, I just know it in myself. Like I knew it. Yeah. And I weirdly knew I was going to be in the final. Like I knew it.
Oh,
wow.
I don't know. I know. And some people, and I said it to someone, and he was rude to me. He was like, oh, but it hasn't always been a dead set. I'm not saying I was a dead set. What I'm saying is, I just had this feeling that it was not that I was the best. I just sort of had this energy that I knew I was going to do well. Everything felt so good.
Yeah.
Once I sort of let it in and then let it roll.
So great.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that in like a cocky way.
No, we know that. We know that. I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. I have to go take a cake out of the oven.
Great.
That's okay. We can keep the convo going.
Okay,
we'll catch Lisa back up. So, no.
Yeah. So I just had this energy, and then I went to do the live face to face, and then it was done. And like I say, like I was still like, this is so ridiculous. I can't believe this is happening. But I just felt it, like I was going to get it. And then Alenka rang me, and the executive producer, and was like, you're on the show. And I was like, oh, I just like, in one sense I was like, I knew it. But in the other sense I was like, I just can't believe this. Like it was this weird journey that was happening. And ever since I've done it, it's been like all of the universe is sending these things, and there's just no resistance to it. Mm-hmm. It's and the musical direction stuff that I've done and I did for the majority of my 20s, there's been such resistance since I got to Australia to make something happen. But the baking stuff, it's not resisting me. I'm just having fun. I'm just taking opportunities when they come. I'm reaching out to people like I would have done in my early 20s with all the music stuff. And it's just evolving in a way that's really exciting. And, you know, I've got nothing else lined up right now, but I'm taking a moment to just decompress and figure out what on earth happened. Because off the back of the Bake Off, a few things, you know, came from it straight away. And what felt really good. But it was weird. It was so strange and very exciting. Once I'd sort of gone, okay, this is happening. Okay, just go with it.
Yeah.
I really feel, you know, I'm not sometimes sure what I believe in, but like the whole idea that the universe has sent me it, and it's been sent for a reason to give me a new lease of life, a new beginning, a new energy that can just spark something in me. So it's interesting, but the journey of applying was so funny because I mean it was so out of the blue. I did not see it coming. Before that, there was nothing in the plans or in the future.
So had you been
Go
a big
ahead.
fan of the show before? Did you know the premise behind the?
Yes, absolutely. I knew the show well because growing up in England, obviously Bake Off is it's massive, it's huge.
Yeah.
Less so here in Australia. It doesn't have a huge following. But in the UK, like massive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I knew the show, I knew the premise, I knew what was going on, but I'd never watched the Australian Bake Off, so it was a shock to me when it was a shed. I was calling it a tent, but it was a shed.
Yeah.
It was the few differences that it does have. It was I was like, oh, right, okay, we're in okay. This isn't the British Bake Off. This is the Australian.
Yes, you're in Australia now. So, from the time that they told you that you were sorry, they're very loud.
So I don't know what she was going to ask, but she's coming back. There you go.
So sorry about that. We have 4 little dogs, so they're ridiculous sometimes. But what I was going to ask is from the time that you found out you were going to be on Bake Off to the time that you actually went and started filming, how much time was that? And I have other questions. I'll ask after.
I think it was 8 weeks.
Okay, so you had preparation time.
Yeah, just a bit of preparation time. Yeah.
So, I know for British, a lot of like it was actually every single week, and they would go home during the week, and then they would film on the weekends.
We did 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
That's what I thought. Okay.
2-ish episodes a week, and we all stayed in provided accommodation.
How far away from where you live? Because
it wasn't far away where I live from Sydney. We were in we were 20 minutes away.
Nice.
So it was quite close to home, but I didn't actually make it home at all.
Yeah, you were busy.
Yeah, well, you were busy baking.
It was too hectic. Yeah.
Yeah. And unlike a Great Canadian Baking Show where there are 10 bakers and 8 episodes, you guys had started off with 12 bakers and you baked for 10 episodes.
That's right, yes.
So
the 10 episodes, 30 bakes altogether.
Wow.
Is a lot. Yeah.
Good for you for doing it.
If you've been watching it, you can slowly see that the tiredness washes over. I don't know if you've ever spoke to Adam. He does a great podcast as well. Adam Miller, I think his name is.
No.
He was from the season before. He runs a podcast called Bakeology.
We should look it up.
Yeah, you should definitely. Wonderful podcast. Really good. Get some brilliant guests on. And we have a joke that, because he was the season before us, and when I met him, I was like, like I was watching and you could see you getting more and more tired until the finale episode where you look exhausted. And he was like, wait until you see your episode. And oh my God, like episode 1, I'm like, woo! Episode 10, I'm like hanging on for dear life.
You were looking focused.
Puffy. I'm like, Puffy, I look terrible in that shirt. I don't know what I was thinking. It's just, I'm like, me and Dimi and Arvin, we just honestly, I'm like, I cannot believe how tired we were at that point. I was like close to nearly past myself. I was like, I
Oh.
need
Oh.
a minute.
Well, we always talk about how exhausting doing one of these baking competitions is, whether it be the Great Canadian Baking Show or the British Bake Off or Australian Bake Off, any of the franchises really. That it's really like everybody who actually makes it onto the show, the competition, you're all such solid bakers. They're not going to bring people on the show that they are, that don't know how to bake. And really it becomes really a competition about how do you juggle all of the things that are thrown at you, the weather conditions, all the challenges you have to do, baking in a different environment with different equipment and different time constraints, so it's really a survivor of
Yes,
Of baking,
you know,
yeah.
100%. It was, and luckily I'm good with speed, so speed and mass I can do, and so I was quite fast, what was great. But then I'd not have as much detail as others, or I'd miss corners here and there. So it was, and it was learning that as you go, and there was a few episodes where I couldn't problem solve. I was so tired and so overwhelmed with it all. The tiramisu week, what was Italian week, what I think was week 8, and I'd made the
Adrian's
tiramisu.
week.
Adrian, yeah, when Adrian went,
Yeah.
I made these little chocolate shards all the way around, and I'd practiced it and I'd done it, and it was brilliant. It looked awesome. Everything stood up, but in the moment, I couldn't figure it out. Like there was just, and I'm putting them on and they're all falling off, and there's nothing. Dimi was going ballistic. She was get just. I can't. I'm done. I'm out. I can't do this. I just couldn't. It was just all falling. Everything was going wrong.
Ugh.
And now when I look back, I couldn't even have told you this even a week after or 2 weeks after after we'd filmed. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. Now when I look back, I'm like, the shards were massive. I'd practiced them like this big and I'd made them like this big. So they were humongous. And I was trying to put as many on the cake.
Yeah.
so, so, so wrong.
Oh,
but
no.
in the moment, I couldn't because, by that point, God knows how many days we'd filmed by that point, episode 8, I was so tired. It was
Yeah. The disconnect in your brain, you're just like, I'm just done. I can't figure this out. But you did it.
And how did it feel actually at the end of that challenge? And then you look over at Arvin's,
Oh,
Arvin's
the most
structure.
insane
That was
tiramisu
like
I've ever seen.
this
I was like,
beautiful,
honestly,
like, oh my
I
God,
mean, I
defying
don't know,
gravity.
and I don't know if it. I mean, I don't. It's hard to see when you were in it when you watch the show. I don't know if it comes across, but Dimi and Arvin were very close as well, and me
You
and
could
Arvin
see
had,
that. Yeah.
we all had a really strong relationship, and we'd spend me and Arvin spent a lot of time together outside of the show. So I mean, he is just something else. Like our styles in every single way possible are just so different, as well as our ability. I pride myself on the fact I'm a country cook. That's what I am. But
Yeah.
Arvin is a real master, and he knows how to make these things work. He sits and figures it out, and we just had such a laugh. It was just so good. And I'm like, right, I'm doing the tiramisu, and I'm putting these chocolate shards around the sides, and that's just what I'm doing. I'm going to go for it. And he's like, yeah, well, I've been thinking, and there's this drawing in his room, and he's got this. I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean you're going to do that? I'm like, how are you going to do that? He's like, oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm practicing this, and I'm trying that. And I'm thinking, oh my word, I mean, I might as well just hang my hat now. I'm off.
Yeah, that
Well,
is the most, I mean, we've shown it to people when we were actually I don't remember who we were interviewing, but I was like, you have to see this. Look at this. Like this,
Yeah. We were in
all
awe.
these spheres, up in a tower of spheres.
I still don't know how he did it, and honestly, it's just something that I would just never do.
It wouldn't even occur
So
to you, right?
oh no, it wouldn't. I mean,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
and to mess around with all the chocolate and all that, I mean, I just wouldn't. But he is just so good at it, and yeah, and it's so lovely that we did get on, and in that final episode, it was just lovely. I mean, me
Yeah.
and Dimi are very close as well. We chat nearly on the daily.
That's so
Um,
great.
So
yeah.
awesome. And that's,
Because sometimes you watch it and you think, is that just all fake? And but it just wasn't. And they came over. So the finale aired on the Wednesday, and we all did our separate parties because we all live in different places, quite far away. And then we all got together that weekend, and Dimi organised a big sort of get together on the Saturday of all the bakers and family and friends.
Mhm.
And on the Friday night, we came here. We filmed a little Christmas content together because we wanted to do something, the three of us. And we sat and watched the finale together. It was so good because you could sort of, I mean, we just kept pausing it and saying, "Do you remember that? Do you remember what happened? What was going on there?" Like, because it was such a fun episode to film as well because it got to that point where I wasn't about winning.
Mhm.
And to be honest, both Dimi and Arvin are both technically so much stronger than me. Like they just are. And so, and also by that point, I sort of achieved what I wanted. I got to the end of the competition. The winning bit didn't really matter to me in a way. I just was just so looking forward to seeing one of them two win, and I was like so excited for it. And I think you can see my excitement. I mean, I look absolutely ridiculous throwing my arms around and screaming.
Lovely.
yeah, that
It was so lovely.
so
I mean,
perfect.
even after the last bake and how you just all kind of walk toward each other and tiny little Dimmy is there, like just
I know.
wrapping each other in this hug. Like I can only imagine the emotions at that moment. Like, well,
Mm,
we did it. We're done. Like we
yeah.
actually got through all of these, and that was our
30,
last bake.
yeah,
And then
30 bakes
I mean,
later.
that was a 5.5 hour bake. It's just such a long time. And, as much as, you've got producers saying, "Oh, drink some water," you're not. You're just
You're
not.
too busy focusing. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're trying to, and that finale cake for me, I'd bitten off way more than I could chew because it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. I just, even now, I just don't know what happened. Like the cakes came out so thick and brilliant, and then as it was going up, it was getting higher and higher, and it hit the point where I was like, this has just got like this. I don't know how it needed proper support that couldn't have been sort
Mhm.
of put into place in 5.5 hours. It just couldn't. Um, yeah, it was like, I mean, I'm lucky it stayed up, I think, because it was just so huge. I mean, it was over a meter, I think. It was
Oh,
It
massive.
was huge.
That's
Well,
like,
Huge. Yeah.
and the biscuit and the lights, and I mean,
It was
just
beautiful.
my big ideas. Yeah, I was really happy with it.
yeah.
I was really chuffed. It's not anything I'll do again.
I mean, it kind of took on a life of its own. I don't think you could replicate it. It's like, you don't need
It's
to.
done. It's done. I agree. I agree.
So
So,
did you film? You filmed like a full year before it started airing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it was nearly the year until it started airing.
And
Um,
was that what they had planned, or did that have anything to do with Cal?
unsure. I mean, it certainly could have. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm really not sure. I think, if anything, I think the Paris Olympics might have thrown it out of its
um,
normal scheduling slot. But
Okay, gotcha.
I'm not sure. Yeah, very well. Let's say zero communication to the bakers from the in for the since. Yeah, let's just say that.
Oh, it's
oh,
just like, okay, well, we're done. We'll let you know.
but
Yes.
you had to keep the secret. Is it the same
Yeah.
in Australia where you are and you can't
Yeah.
say anything until they tell you,
Yeah.
hey, you can announce that you're one of the bakers.
For a year.
So, so how was that? What was that like?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it was difficult not telling everyone. I mean, look, I have a very close group of friends, and there's no way I'm disappearing for 6 weeks and getting away with it. So there was sort of within the circle, there was quite well. I think everyone did know because I mean, there's just no way. There is
Mhm.
just no way I was disappearing. I am the one who makes the food, who comes to the
Yeah.
parties with food. Like we have
Who was
parties on the
feeding
weekends,
them?
we have gatherings, we have Sunday lunches. Like there's just no way it's happening.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
just no way. So a lot of my inner circle knew that it had happened. So what made it much easier.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there was certainly difficulties, yeah, in there, and the waiting, sort of just like
Yes.
waiting around. I had a real like the beginning of the year. We didn't have an idea when it was going to come out, and I was so sort of like itching to do something, and I was
Mhm.
like wanting something to happen. So
Yeah.
I ended up doing a whole other business side of my actual business and did a whole online academy because I was so like I just need to do something and put my
Yeah.
energy into something. So I did that all while I was waiting for it to come out, and then I think we found out it was coming out probably a week before they announced. Not much.
Oh,
Um,
that's such a
and then yeah,
long time.
what was great. But
And then all
it's
the craziness ensues. So you go a full year, like you had all the craziness while you were taping the show, and then radio silence for a year, and then
yeah,
all the craziness again. Um,
yeah. It was interesting,
Surreal.
and then yeah, and then I guess radio silence now. It's a create your own destiny. It's
Mm.
create your own energy. Um, create your own path. You have
Yeah.
to. Yeah. What's tricky because I'm not saying anyone from Bake Off should help with any of that, but it's tricky because it's certainly have been given this new thing that you think, could do something with this.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah, I feel positive about the future. I think
Good.
the future involves lots of
Well,
exciting things that are themed around baking.
that's so good. I mean, you have this platform and then it's up to you what you decide you're going to do with it. And you do have to make some of that momentum yourself, right?
Absolutely.
And start, what is it? A rolling stone gathers no moss. Like you got to make it start rolling down the hill. And
Yeah.
I think you're doing it. I think I
Yeah.
mean, we're in Canada, we're on the west coast of Canada and we're chatting with you because we heard of you and we watched
Yes.
you and
Yes.
we enjoyed
Yes.
watching you. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and in Canada, we have so many fans of all the Bake Off franchises as well. Australia is one that we can easily access on YouTube, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
So it's wonderful to be able to watch all of the episodes and get to know all the
Mhm.
bakers, and so it's been wonderful. And thank you for connect agreeing to come on. The crazy person from Canada is reaching out going,
Are
hey,
you
Elliot,
talking about me or are you talking about you? Who's the crazy person?
both of us, both of us. It was like the royal, one.
The
There's got to be
royal
a royal,
crazy.
the opposite of royal we, right? So
Yes,
two of us.
absolutely.
Remember, we
Yeah.
share a brain, remember?
That sometimes it does feel
There
like
you go.
a brain.
So,
Yes.
yeah, so it's really wonderful that you were so open, and you could fit it into your crazy schedule as well. So we really do
Yeah, well,
appreciate
actually,
that.
I like. It was nice that we can do it before the end of the year, just so button it up and
Yes.
then yeah, I'm just looking forward to having a break and setting a plan.
You'll be able to relax a little bit, except, the second you get an idea, you'll be in that kitchen baking
Yeah.
something big.
Absolutely. Well, I know that is exactly it. Can't stop myself.
I
Oh,
know.
that's awesome.
I know.
So, Miss Lisa, do you think it's
Yes.
time to maybe play a little game?
I would love to play a little game of
What about you,
this
Elliot?
or
Are
that.
are you game, Elliot?
Yes, absolutely.
All
All
right. So,
right. You get go ahead and get started,
All
Christina.
right, so we're going to ask you a few things. You tell us what your preference is. Sometimes there's a couple of choices. Sometimes it's a yes or no. Sometimes there might be three, maybe four different things. All answers are good answers. There's no bad answer, except for maybe the last question where there might be a little judgment. That's all. So
I won't judge you.
I may.
Yes, she does. She judges her.
Anyway, so we'll start it all off. Well, nice and easy, hopefully. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Oh,
Well,
so
that sounds like a proper
That's
answer.
a hard one. That's a hard one though, because tea, like, yeah, growing up, it's tea, yeah. But then here in Australia, the coffee culture is huge, and the
Is
coffee
it?
is good. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So when you take your tea, do you take a proper cup of tea? A
Yes,
proper
proper cup
cup
of
of?
tea.
Yep.
The
So
water has to be freshly boiled.
And
It
not in
has
the microwave.
never in the microwave.
Never.
Who was that? Who was that? Was it you?
No, neither of us have done that.
Oh,
I may have warmed up my tea in the microwave.
While her sourdough starter was
Was
in
still
the
in it.
microwave.
still, I know. That's what that was shocking to me. But yeah, there's really strict rules around tea making. You know, the water has to be freshly boiled. You can't reboil it. The teapot has to be warmed up before the tea bags go in. The water has to be boiling as it's being poured on. It needs to be left to brew for 3 to 4 minutes. Milk first, then pour the tea. Always a cup and saucer, never a mug.
Ooh. So I'm breaking all the rules.
Yeah. And I mean, this is so tea snobby, but I could never, well, obviously I do if I'm at someone's house, but I would never, ever brew a cup of tea in a cup. Ever.
Oh,
It would have to be in a
in a
Sorry.
pot. Yeah, proper pot.
Sorry.
But that was my great auntie Dot. My great auntie Dot would send cups of tea back, and she'd say, "That's been brewed in the cup."
It does. It makes a difference. It really does.
100%.
Yeah. And
Does
oh
it
yeah,
really?
it does.
Does it?
Yes. Yes.
It honestly does. I can't. Honestly, I know. I can taste it. I'm like, this is not right. I need to get out of here quick. It's
I've
been
got to
brewed.
tell you. So working, I'm a nurse. I worked in labor and delivery for quite a while, and night shifts on labor and delivery. Right before the end of the shift, we would do tea and toast. So
Yeah.
we would brew a proper pot of tea and make some toast. Somebody would, everyone would take turns bringing in toast. They still do it. I'm just not there anymore. And then they would wheel the little tea cart, and that cup of tea at 6:30 in the morning was the
Best.
most amazing thing I'd ever tasted in my life.
I think jokes aside, I think it's the ceremony of it. The fact that you're taking such care to make something that you're going to drink and you're going to enjoy. And, generally a pot of tea, I mean, I do have a pot of tea to myself, but generally a pot of tea is to be shared. So you're sharing it. And I think I just love that.
Yes.
I love that.
The anticipation,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The enjoyment with others. Yeah,
Definitely.
that's marvelous.
All right.
All
Question
right, maybe
number
I'll redo my whole tea thing. Maybe you've inspired me, Elliot, to buy a teapot because I don't think I even have one.
Oh, wow.
When I downsized to our condo, a lot of things had to go, and I never used a teapot. So that might have been one of the things that ended up at the Sally Ann. I'm just saying.
We'll have tea when you
British-
come over here.
And my best friend is from Liverpool, actually. So she knows, and she still loves me.
But she judges you.
Maybe, yes. Maybe she has an active judgment face too.
Yes, I think so. All right, question number 2. Singing or baking?
Ah. My initial instinct there was singing.
Oh,
My actual, yeah. That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Well, that's good.
yeah, that's
Well, and I had a fight with myself because I thought, I feel like I'm betraying my singing and my singing teaching by doing this. I've really struggled over the last year and a bit, just with this sort of fight with myself that it's okay, you can do more than one thing.
I was gonna
And
say, yeah.
and I sort of, yeah, you can. And I sort of said to the universe, I was just like, what, send me a sign, send me something that just says this is okay. And I was doing a demo at a Good Food and Wine Festival, Christmas markets here. I was demonstrating mince pies. And the PR company who was looking after the PR for the show, the head of PR, Jane, wonderful lady, she rang me and she said, "Look, I've, I've, I've sold out the idea that you're the singing baker to all of the morning shows in Australia, and someone's bitten, and they've asked if you could go and sing and bake at the same time on the morning show." And I was like, "Oh, I can do both. I can combine the two."
Yes.
And I was like, "Wow, this is cool." And if you go on my Instagram, you can go and see, and I'm singing on the morning show in Australia. Crazy.
That's amazing.
That's fantastic. And that could be the perfect sort of avenue to take and combine those two passions of yours. And then that way you don't have to make a choice. You could be the singing baker.
You were singing and baking in the shed. They
Yes.
just weren't allowed to air it, a lot of it.
Yeah, and the rules around copyright.
Yeah.
But I was and I was doing a bit of singing, and I was resisting it then. I was resisting it when I was in the shed. I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do it. It's like, it's different. This is baking and that's singing." And then I was like, "Get rid of your ego now and just stop resisting these things. Go with it." And that's when the morning show happened. And I was like, "Oh, this is all
there you go.
All coming into place."
There's your sign. Yeah, it's lucky that they responded that way to you, because I was known as the singing nurse for a while in the operating room. So before labor and delivery, there was the operating room. But there was this one time, the surgeon, I was singing along, it was Sheena Easton, morning train, and I was singing along, very, very happy while they're operating away. And she stopped. She pointed her scalpel at me and she said, "There's a reason why she's on the radio and you're not. Stop it."
Ouch.
Shut down the singing nurse very quickly.
Oh.
Never sang in her OR again, but
so
I sing
funny.
other times. So
There you go.
yes.
Ouch. Ouch.
I know. It really actually really did hurt quite a bit.
Yeah.
my
I sing in the car by myself.
Yeah, I know. You don't sing when I'm in there with you.
No, because it's probably best. You heard us sing happy birthday to you, right?
Oh my goodness, it was terrible.
Your ears are still bleeding.
Yeah, but that was on Zoom, so I blame Zoom for that.
Yeah.
Yes, blame Zoom.
Yeah.
I still appreciated the sentiment.
I'm sure it was Zoom. Nope. Anyway, we digressed. So, Spice Week or Patisserie Week?
Patisserie week for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, but then I had my piano.
Yeah, because you won Star Baker both those weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy doing Patisserie week, but I loved the piano as well.
Yeah. And your little
the little patisseries. I did
Those
really
were-
enjoy doing them. Yeah, I enjoyed that. And I loved the Queen of Mon. Like, that was insane.
Queen of Mon.
I don't know how they even put Queen of Mon as any kind of challenge, because I mean it takes a couple of days to make proper Queen of Mon.
Yeah.
Not on Bake Off.
No, I know.
It's 2.5 hours. No, I'm not sure how long that was.
At first, I didn't even know what they were talking about because they called it Kunyamon, and I was like, "What's a Kunyamon?" But somebody else.
Yeah. It was well, I didn't have a clue how to pronounce it. I didn't even know what it was when they first sent the brief. I was like, "What?" But I just did a version of like sort of like a croissant dough, but I just did it really fast, and it worked. It just goes to show that you can do things in shorter amount of time. What is super helpful to know, like, you can just wrap that up and throw it all together. Bit of leakage of butter and stuff, a bit more than you'd want if you're doing it the proper way.
Yeah.
But you can do it, and actually the ones that I made were really nice. Well, the ones that everyone made were really nice. The ones that I made,
you can't go wrong.
Everyone else was like,
butter, sugar.
Yeah, Yeah, oh my God, so good.
Yeah.
They're so delicious. Yeah.
Mhm. They're one of my favorite pastries, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So good.
me too.
So did you answer then? Did you have an answer
No,
between spice week and potato?
I think I will go patisserie week. Patisserie week.
Perfect.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
All right. Signature, technical or showstopper?
Showstopper.
Always, because
He,
you can go big.
yeah, you can go big. You can be big. You can have lots going on. I hated the technicals. I just hated them.
Mm.
Like,
What
yeah.
did you hate about them?
Well, I'm really dyslexic, and
Ah,
so the reading part of it for me was just horrific. I'd be reading it all backwards and stressing as well. So like
Oh.
not. So it was so funny, and I'd just be in the end. I just think, oh, I know the sort of energy we're going for here. I know the sort of steps that we would follow. I'm just gonna have to stop reading that and just do it.
And just do it. Yeah. Just trust your instincts and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, isn't that what the technical is supposed to be about? Like it's testing your instincts as a baker
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or how well you
There
follow
was always
rules.
a funny.
How well you
There was
follow
always
instructions.
there was always a funny energy in the shed when it was the technical bake. Yeah, it was always a funny energy from people,
Right.
from production.
Oh,
Yeah,
so you were
it
just
was
happy to
never.
be done it.
I don't know. It just felt it was always. Yeah,
Okay.
it was always an element of judgment flying around the tent. It felt. It
Oh.
didn't. It didn't ever feel like. Yeah, it was. It was and whether that was just in my head or it really could have been. But the technical, the signatures and the showstoppers actually did feel quite fun.
Yeah.
But then saying that, if you spoke to Adrian, he'd be probably the other side. He loved them. He was great. But he's a very technical baker, very very good baker, and and knows a lot of things. For me, I'd get something. I mean, what was that pastella? No, con crema con something. The peaches.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
I
what
was
was
like,
that thing?
what on earth is this? Like, what actually is it? Even by the end, I was like, I still don't really know what I'm making. And the producer was looking after me. She's like, she's like, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh no. Now, are they able to like give you a little direction or a little nudge in a certain way if they see if you're going a little sideways or
Yeah, they would give you a little like, just read that again.
oh, okay.
Oh, well, that's handy.
Oh, okay.
I'm
So they
trying to
can't
remember what
actually
that was
point
called.
you in the right direction, but they can go, hey, FYI.
Sometimes, yeah. I think if you were going completely rogue, they would, yeah. But
Mm,
I mean, but generally, no. Maybe and because they generally didn't say anything, that's probably why it felt like there was a different energy in the shed.
Mm,
It didn't feel as
yeah,
like
fair enough.
fun. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
suppose is the nature of a technical challenge, right?
yeah, and everybody's doing the same thing versus the signature and showstopper. You can put your own spin on it and you can Elliotize it and
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's
pesce
it.
con pesce con crema.
yeah,
Oh,
Can't say
that's
that
it.
very well.
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you ever eaten one?
Not gonna work.
I've never
Yeah,
eaten one. I've seen them
No, they look
before.
really beautiful.
Yeah,
They look
they're
like little
really pretty.
buns.
look good. Yeah, little yes. Try one. Very sweet.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Then I probably wouldn't like it. I
Yeah.
don't like macarons because they're too sweet. But except
Mm.
Christina's macarons are good.
All in the salt. Anyhow, so speaking of big showstoppers, do you prefer doing big bakes or petite bakes?
Big
Yeah,
bakes.
yeah. You're
That
you're
goes with the showstopper.
yeah, and that's what you were probably most known for were these over the top, like awesome creations and just lots of fun and yeah,
Yeah,
so cool.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Loved it. Yeah, loved
yeah.
it.
Did you find it daunting at all when you were prepping for the show? Were you like, or were you just like, oh, I could do this, and like just no doubt in your mind that you could actually do it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was daunting because there was definitely some moments where I was thinking, I want to do the cruise ship. The cruise ship really evolved, like, because what I started with was just horrific. It looked like a ginormous bus. And I had all these different ideas. And I did a second version, it just wasn't getting any better. Then I had this idea that I would make a mold and bake it all on the mold. What was a good idea, but needed fine technical tuning. The dough needed to be rested on the mold, so it was super, super cold, so that when it hit the oven, it wasn't just going to break apart. The back of the dough on the mold could never be made on the mold; that had to be cut off, as in before you baked it. So there was elements that took, but I knew I was doing that dough. I knew it was going to rock, sort of, and I knew I was doing the piano. I was like, I'm doing that piano if it kills me. But that was intricate. I mean, for me, that is so crazy. The detail and the fine tuning that had. I mean, when I saw it on the screen, I was like, I can't believe I've actually made that.
Yeah.
But I knew by that point it was week 7, and I'd not won Star Baker, and I was determined. I was thinking, I've done some good bakes. I knew I had, like, felt like the cruise ship. I felt like the Central Station. They were all up there. Trying to think what else I'd made. The cheesecakes, they were all, but people were just doing better. So by that week, I knew I really needed to push, and so I think that's where I must have been like laser focused, because I was like, I'm doing this, and it's going to be amazing.
Oh, the piano.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, where are we? Celebration week or Italian week?
Oh. They were 2 bad weeks.
That's why she put them in there together.
Italian week. Normal life celebration week, because I love celebrations and it's really my bag. But a Sarawak cake, like, come on. If you're going to do a Sarawak cake, you need to be specialised. That is specialised baking. That isn't amateur baking. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
It's just not. And then the technical challenge that week was amazing. But again, like that level of chocolate work, don't come for me that, amateur bakers are doing that. We're just not. It was too big of a challenge. And and then the showstopper, a glow in the dark cake, the whole week was just like a glow in the dark cake. Who's making that?
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch how, I mean, you're right when you're talking about the amateur baker thing, because it's really over the years has become more of a, like, you're an amateur baker who literally bakes from sun up till sundown, because all of these people who come on the shows are so skilled, and then all of the challenges are calling for such a high level of skill, and it's just become more and more. And I mean, your Sarawak was the signature, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
We had a Sarawak in Great Canadian, and that was the showstopper. And so it's like, how I mean, the level of expectation that's been put on you guys is a lot.
And I think we really felt that as well. Like, there was this huge expectation that things needed to be bigger and it needed to be better, and that was, it was pressed on us. Hence the finale showstoppers, and hence why mine ended up being so big.
Yeah,
like, I could have really made that smaller, but exactly the same.
Yeah.
But there was this bigger, better. But I have to keep coming back to, I am a home cook. That's what I am.
Yeah.
And that doesn't. I'm not a chef. I'm not a pastry chef. I don't want to be. I love the passion of home cooking and sharing the home cooking. And so I think when I look at that celebration week, that would have been my week. I love celebrations. That's what I do. Celebration cakes and fun and energy. And I just didn't feel it. I wasn't feeling it. And you can tell in the bakes. You can tell that you're just not. It's just not me. And I think that I see that as a positive for myself, because I think baking is about joy and doing something for joy, and So, you know, the fact that I didn't do great in that week, I'm like, well, no, I didn't because there was no joy there. And
Mm.
that's something that I pride myself on in my bakes.
Yes.
Um,
And
yeah.
did you go into that week feeling that way as well, or was that lack of joy just because you weren't feeling what you were asked to bake that week, or just
I guess,
was there
no,
like,
I guess I did. I guess when going into it, I was quite just trying to stay open minded and optimistic. But I think in the back of my head, I thought, you know, I'm not one of these. You'll notice on my Instagram as well, I'm not going to bake things for Instagram.
Mm.
As in, I'm not gonna bake something for content ever. It's just not how I roll. So baking something, everything that I bake will be something that we eat and I try and I'm enjoying and I'm sharing.
yeah.
Yes.
And so I think going into that, I was staying open minded, but I just knew that there was none of that community in it.
Mm,
Whereas the idea of building, and there was no stories really with
mm,
any of them bakes. I couldn't connect with sourdough cake, impossible.
Yeah.
Because one, I've never had one, or have I ever been to Malaysia? What I would like to correct, but
Mhm.
haven't. So yeah,
Yeah.
it
that makes
was a
sense.
week, and the Italian week was interesting as well. I enjoyed the pizzas. I enjoyed that. That was fun. And but then it was the technical that got me. I was like,
Mm,
I just would never make these. And I mean, that is the competition, right? You've got to do things that you
Mhm.
don't do.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
speaking of your pizza, pineapple on pizza, yes or
Yeah.
no?
Yes. Always.
I love pineapple
Always,
on pizza.
always pineapple on
On
pizza.
every kind of pizza?
Well, maybe not, but certainly a ham one.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
great.
I totally agree with you there, actually. If you're going to put ham on a pizza, you got to be putting that pineapple on that pizza.
Yeah. Works so well, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. That sweet and salty. It's a
Oh,
perfect combination.
I love it when you get when people put the cheese over the pineapple and then it bakes on it and then you get the bite with both the pineapple and the cheese together and it's just like, I love it.
Nice.
My husband, not so much. Picks it off. And I never understand people picking pineapple off pizza. I never knew that that was like a controversy
Oh,
ever.
totally. Yes.
Why? What's wrong with it?
I know. I think it's delicious. I love
Yeah.
that sweet element of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Some
really awesome.
people don't like the mixture of they like either sweet or they like salty. I think there are a group of people out there, and
Well,
no
I
judgment,
like that. That's the
that,
weird thing.
but you're good with pineapple on pizza?
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know. You know, I'm a walking juxtaposition, okay? Every time I say I don't like that, then I'll be like, but I love it in this. And you're like, I thought you didn't, right? How many times has that come up?
A lot.
Many times.
A lot.
So I'm alternating between my left brain and right brain all the time for my work and for my life and blah blah blah. So, you know, I just gotta alternate between liking things and disliking
You're
things.
just complex. You have lots of layers.
Yeah.
You're like Shrek. Lots of
Yes,
layers.
that's me. I'm very Shrek. Maybe Fiona. No, Shrek for sure.
Shrek was the one who was layered.
Layered. I know. I know. All right.
Nothing wrong with the having layers.
No,
That's a good
no,
thing.
and I agree with you on that actually.
Yeah,
That's
layers are
one of
good.
those things. You can look like something from the outside, and then there's so many things when you dig deeper, right? That's what we're trying to do here. We want to know more about Elliot. So,
Exactly.
and it's been really fun. I'm having a blast.
Yeah, same. I hope you
Okay.
are too. We're having
Yes.
fun.
You having fun?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Next question. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Ooh. What kind of chocolate do you like?
Can't eat vanilla on it. own.
That's true. Well,
So.
I don't think it would taste very good.
Chocolate. Mm, I like just a plain dark chocolate, you know, something quite bitter.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like bitter chocolate very much. But I'll
Yeah,
probably change my mind.
Mm.
yeah, I like a nice bit, especially I do like an orange in it. There's a really great
Mm.
chocolate shop here called Higgs, and they do like the little buttons, but we'll do like dark chocolate buttons with mint or
Oh, nice.
orange. I like the orange ones.
Do
Yeah.
you miss the chocolate from the UK?
Yeah, it tastes different because obviously there's something in the chocolate here that doesn't melt.
Oh,
Well, no, yeah, it must be like there's something in the chocolate. Like if it's just it won't melt at like a certain temperature because everything
yeah,
would
it
just
gets
melt here.
that makes
So
Mm.
there's a different. It's a different chocolate. Can't
oh,
be the same.
Yeah. That I guess
interesting.
they have to. I never even thought about
I've
that.
said that like I'm really confident that actually happens, but I feel like that happens, and I might be completely wrong.
We're gonna take your word for it because
Well, nobody's gonna come down
no,
and
it's
beat you
all
over
good.
the
Yes,
head for it, so it's
Or
fine.
maybe somebody will send us a note saying, well, actually, the chocolate in
actually, and
Australia
yeah,
contains blah 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 blah, which helps it stay.
What will be good to know.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
it would be
But
good
that
to
makes
know.
total sense, right? So an
Yeah.
additive that would actually help it maintain its form and not melt
Yes.
is very important, especially if you like eating chocolate bars in the summertime.
Maybe that additive also chases off giant spiders.
That'd be a good thing.
That'd be a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah, we've had a few spiders in here lately.
Yeah. You guys have, I think I heard something that Australia has more things that could actually kill you, like
Yeah,
bugs and animals and things like that, than anywhere else in the world.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Aren't you glad you chose to live there, Elliot?
Yeah,
I know. And then I think you go over to New Zealand, like and I think they have none.
yeah.
Really?
Except
Really
sheep.
crazy. Yeah, even
They
sheep.
have sheep, lots of those. So,
You're giving all these facts that could be completely incorrect.
I
yeah.
mean, that's okay. We don't have a fact checker.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna care.
No,
Oh, maybe somebody will care. Maybe someone will watch and care, but they'll let us know. I
they'll
hope.
let us
Yeah.
see. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully in a very nice, respectful way.
Yes,
Yes.
All
we hope so.
right. Buttercream. Do you like American buttercream, meringue-based buttercreams, or some other type of buttercream? What's your
Yeah.
favorite?
Meringue based. Meringue based. I always use a Swiss meringue
Yeah,
buttercream.
nice. Yeah,
Good.
yeah, that's the way to
One.
go, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, always. I never really do American buttercream anymore. Um, I'd maybe do it if I was rushing, but
Mhm.
I
Hmm.
think a Swiss meringue can be made really quite quickly.
Yeah,
It certainly can be made without much time because you can just leave it running if you've got a stand mixer.
yeah,
Yeah, that's true. You
exactly.
can be doing
That
other
makes all the
things
difference
while you're letting it go.
for
Yeah,
sure.
we had a guest on. Uh, Her name was Tat, and she's the cake tunist, and she is hilarious. But one of her things was um, that you can just literally dump all the ingredients for a Swiss buttercream into the stand mixer and just let it go. And
Yeah.
we were like, what? So
So does she not whisk the egg up first?
what was it that she did? She used powdered sugar instead of granulated sugar and just literally dumped it all in there. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Just went for it.
I
Even
tested
the
it, but I tested it with granulated sugar and I mean it worked, but it was a little bit
Yeah.
yeah,
delicious.
Yeah, because I tried it with the powdered sugar one time and it didn't work out for me.
Maybe
Um,
super fine that she uses.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking superfine sugar is probably your best bet.
yeah,
That would probably work. And if you whip it enough, like you would in a French meringue, for example, you're going to get it so that it eventually will dissolve. But I think you just need to let it just go and go and go and go and go. Like
While
let
you're
it
doing all the other things, building a
exactly.
monster cake or something.
yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
All
Apparently
right.
they're in trend. Monster cakes are in trend this season, so
Oh,
uh,
great.
massive cakes. Yeah, so I'm getting on it.
I mean, I don't think you're gonna have much trouble with it.
And
Yes.
but
If you
it's who we give it to eat it all. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, more cake!"
You'll just have to see if you can push your invite list to more than 12.
I know. Well, I'm hoping we move house. I'm kicking off about it at the minute. I need to be out of here. I need at least a table for 20.
Oh, wow. And how does your partner feel about you hosting people? Like,
Oh, he loves it. Yeah,
He enjoys
he's
it
all
too.
about it. Yeah,
Okay,
he's full social. Yeah,
that's good.
The more the
yeah,
merrier.
yeah,
That's
That
okay.
absolutely.
makes it a little bit easier.
Mhm.
Yes.
My husband always has these grand ideas about because he has a huge family, so he's like, let's just have everyone over and we do, but then he's just like, exhausted because he's such an introvert, right? So by the end of the night, he's just like, why did we do that?
So exhausting. It
Yes.
is exhausting hosting, but love it.
I love it too. Yeah.
Yeah, I love entertaining as well. It's just so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great when I go
Good.
over to her place because I'm on Vancouver Island, so it's about an hour and a half ferry ride over to where she is. And I go and I stay there, and she's just the best hostess. She,
Oh, I love
makes these
it.
lovely
Yeah.
meals for me, puts me up in the lovely little room to myself, and yeah, it's fantastic. Starts my coffee for me in the morning.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
Very nice.
And now I can make a proper cup. Well, I will learn to make a proper cup of tea for you as well.
Just get it
Need to
too.
get some Yorkshire tea bags as well.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tea bags. Yeah.
Yes. I think we can buy them here in Canada, actually, the Yorkshire.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
All right. This brings us to our last this or that question, the most important one out of the bunch.
Hmm.
Yes. So this one, I don't, we call it the most important one of the bunch, but that's because it's a trend on the Great Canadian Baking Show to ask a question about butter tarts. So we don't know if you know what butter tarts are. So we went ahead and we're just modifying this question a little bit. So raisins, yes or no? Raisins in baking.
Yes.
Okay. See, here comes our judgment face.
Elliot, we were having such a lovely conversation up until this.
Well, but then, like, no raisins in baking. Like, what are you doing at Christmas? Like, no mince pies, no Christmas pudding, no Christmas cake, no raisin and walnut toast.
I guess she's just saying, yep,
Toast
none.
and bread, raisin bread is okay. That's fine.
I've
Raisins
just
and
made
oatmeal cookies, okay.
I've just made a tea loaf, like I made with Yorkshire tea, uh,
Yum.
full of the raisins. Gorgeous.
Uh,
Yeah. Do you
yeah,
like to
you're a
soak
true
your
Brit.
raisins?
Soak the raisins.
Yeah, do you soak them in something?
In tea for the tea loaf.
You
Yeah.
just so you soak them in.
Just in the tea.
Soak them in hot tea. Yeah. So you can, if you're making a pot of tea and you're only just one person, you can soak some raisins and dried fruit in the tea, ready to make a tea loaf.
Oh, does that sound appealing to you, Christina?
You know what? Other dried fruits are totally fine. Raisins, it's a texture thing for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a texture. It's like, it's just, yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
yeah.
it's all good. In breads or in an
Like
oatmeal
cinnamon
cookie,
raisin.
oatmeal raisin cookie, totally okay.
Weird. I don't
Yeah,
understand how it can be okay. Okay. You're just being like
I've got,
juxtaposition like Lisa here.
I'm also Shrek and I am wearing green today. So, hey,
oh,
I will wear my Shrek layers with pride.
We're allowed to like one thing and then not like it later or in
yeah,
a certain
In different
absolutely.
things.
circumstance, you know?
Yeah, in different things. And that's the, like we talk about it. That's the beauty of baking is that you
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
do all sorts of stuff to accommodate different people's wants and needs and flavors and all that kind of stuff. And it's a pretty fun little hobby to have.
Definitely.
Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, before we all dash off, are you able to give us a baking scrap, which is a tip or a trick for people might be new to baking?
So my baking hack is always line your tins with pastry and freeze them. So I always have 5 or 6 pastry tarts already lined and frozen, and then I just pull them out if I've got some leftover frangipani or if I've got some leftover even just cake mix, and I can put a layer of jam, put the cake mix on the top, or anything really. It's just so handy to have them already lined and
Yeah.
done.
Yeah,
That's a smart idea.
that is smart. And just make
Well,
that.
that's how you can create a table for that many people very quickly.
Yeah.
There you go. Now we're
I
gonna
always
give you.
always Dimi came over the other day and she was like, she looked in the fridge. She's like, "What is going on in here? Why is there so many tart tins all lined?" And I was like, "Oh, I always do it. I just whip it when I've made my pastry. If I've
Yeah.
got leftovers, I just line tins because they always come in handy. You know,
Yeah.
like if you're having Sunday lunch, just pull a few out quickly." And your pastry bit's done. It's like, oh, a lot of the hassle's already done and out of the way. And I
Well,
always think bulk make the pastry when you're making it. Do it.
that makes
How
total
many
sense.
tins do you have?
I have loads. Oh my god! If I downstairs, I've got these boxes full of tins. Andrew goes ballistic. There's literally tins everywhere, and then I have to ask him when I come home because I've got a thing for different tins. I just like to get all the different sizes and different variations. But if he sees me coming home with another tin, it's real. I've got these
No, but
massive black boxes, and they're just like full of everything. Yeah,
but
it's
tins
bad.
are so like all the baking supplies, though. There's so many cool things that you can pick up and
And
buy, and
yeah.
just I mean, the possibilities are endless. It's
I
awesome.
think I have so many different sizes of tart tin. Like
Yeah.
just I have every single size you can buy, every single
Wow. That's that's amazing.
I love that. That's kind of your obsession, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doing it all big, just having it all big, having just
Yeah.
all so much of it all. It's just ridiculous. It has to stop. We're now in this one bed apartment.
Hmm.
It has to stop. There is, there's two KitchenAids. There's a big KitchenAid. There's boxes of tins. We're about to get a shed thing put out in the outside little area because I'm like, I've got crocs and fermenting and oh no.
Wow.
Well, does he have some kind of hobby or thing that he?
No,
Oh,
he
okay.
has no hobby. He is not. He like no. He likes to sit and eat. So that's handy.
Perfect.
You're well matched then.
Yep.
Yes, very.
You bake, he eats,
Yeah.
provides feedback, and you're
Sounds
good as
great.
gold. That's awesome.
That's
There's always there's always something going on. I'll never forget. Like he sits in his chair, and I'll be making stuff, and I made this scone, and I was doing this thing on Instagram where I was like, because I loved like a fruit scone, some cheese on the top, melted, and I'd melted it under the grill with the plate on the plate, and it all melted. It looked lovely, and I took it over to him. But I had a towel, and I was holding the plate, and he took the plate, and the plate had been under the grill. It was red hot. I don't know why that's coming to my mind, but just
ouch, 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 ouch,
it's so
ouch.
funny.
It was funny. He's got third-degree burns on
I
his
know.
hands, but hey, it's all
And
good.
threw the plate. Honestly, I'm like, well, you shouldn't be sat there doing nothing. You should be doing some jobs.
Oh, wow. Oh, I feel bad for him,
I know this.
but it's funny at the same time.
It's funny.
Now that he's okay,
Yeah.
you can say
He's
it's
afraid
funny.
I did it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose.
I mean, you come over and you're like, "Can't you see what I'm holding this with? You should know. Don't
Because
just take it."
you probably had your oven mitts on when you brought the plate
Yeah,
over to
so I
him.
just wasn't thinking. I just
Yeah.
yeah.
Oops. Oops. Oops.
Well, it's one of those things, right? He's lucky that he's getting de food delivered to his chair.
Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Just be grateful. It's hot. That's a good thing.
absolutely.
Yes.
Aw.
Well, Elliot, thank you so much
Oh,
for coming and chatting with us today. It has been
Thank
so much
you.
fun. We just
So
really
nice to chat with
appreciated
you.
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was
thank you.
wonderful getting to know you on the show.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. It was such an experience. I'm so glad it's all happened, and we'll see what
Yeah.
happens next.
Yeah,
Yes, we
it's
can't
exciting.
wait.
We will
And
be paying attention.
for anybody who is not yet following Elliot on Instagram, he is at Feeding Brief
Yeah.
on
Right.
Instagram. So be sure to give him a follow there and check out all the fun stuff he's been doing. And it's awesome, like you were sharing with us that you and Dimi and Arvin get together. Hopefully that's going to be a regular thing or semi-regular, because I know you guys live a little ways away from each other, but it'd be so much fun to see all three of you guys connect.
Mhm.
Absolutely, and it's so interesting to watch us because we've all got three such different styles as well.
Yes.
I said, right, okay, you've done my style. They were in my kitchen doing my style. Now we've got to go to one of their kitchens and do their styles.
That's
Oh,
brilliant. I love that.
tiramisu spheres for everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Arvin's like, how are you going to do calm? Because he does them reels and they're just so calm and gorgeous and slow. Everything's perfect. I'm like, and are you going to try and get me involved in that?
I'm sure you can do it if
Um,
you put your mind to it. It will be good. And for anybody who has not been able to watch you, Elliot, it's all the episodes for the Great Australian Bake Off season 8, is
mhm.
that correct? Are available on YouTube and
Apparently.
back and watch the whole thing or
Apparently.
piracy.
Or
Find a way and watch it
Yeah,
because it's really fun.
find a way,
yeah.
find a way.
Find a way to watch it. It is definitely worthwhile the watch. Amazing baking for those 10 episodes. It's just been such a joy watching you and all the other bakers as well. It was such a great season of Australian Bake Off.
Mhm.
So many cool personalities and yeah,
Absolutely.
incredible talent.
It was
Yeah.
great.
So
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
thanks, Elliot. Bye.
Bye. Well, that was so much fun.
Oh my goodness. I mean, how much energy does Elliot have? And it's such a fun energy. Like, how are you not smiling and laughing along with him? He's
Yeah.
just such a gem. What a human. Just
Yeah,
beautiful, beautiful
I
energy.
agree. I agree. I loved chatting with him, and it was so much fun watching it back and being like, oh my gosh, like just his energy and his attitude and how he's the thing that struck me the most is when he said, baking is about joy.
Mhm.
And you can just see the joy in him when he's talking about the things that mean so much to him and the fact that he got to spread so much of that joy through being on Aussie Bake Off is really exciting. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about these 3 weeks that we have going on here.
I am too. I mean, if you've seen the show and seen it from beginning to end, and you see the progression of their bakes, and again, I know Elliot talked a little bit about how his energy was a little lower. I didn't really see that
Yeah,
from, beginning to the end.
yeah.
To be honest with you, I thought he was just such a
On
joy.
Celebration Week, yeah.
Yeah, just a joy to watch the whole entire time, to be honest with you. And
Yeah.
maybe part of that is we didn't see the other bits because they ended up on the
Cutting room floor.
cutting room floor. But honestly, like that was, yeah, I mean, it is about that joy. It's about and I know we've had this conversation before with so many other bakers that we've had on
Mhm.
our podcast in the past about finding that joy, finding, and just taking that all in. And that's what really makes the passion of baking even much more
Yeah,
enjoyable.
100%.
Pun intended. Enjoyable. Get it? Okay.
When you have joy, it's enjoyable.
Joy is enjoyable for sure. And
Put that on a sweatshirt
there you
instead of
go.
my insomnia coffee company. It's
Uh,
joy is enjoyable.
Joy is definitely enjoyable. And I think, especially these days, we could all use a little bit of joy in our
Yeah,
lives.
it's true. It's interesting because we filmed it right before Christmas.
Mhm.
And so joy is just really an appropriate and apt word to use for, everything that was going on right around the time that we were talking with him. And right now, yeah, we need some joy. There's
We
some
do.
difficult things going on in the world these days, and it's hitting a little close to home. So I'm really glad that we could have just jumped out of it a little bit and been there with Elliot in Australia with the crazy creatures and
Mhm.
the
Well, I
pineapple on
don't know so
pizza.
much about being there with him with all the crazy creatures. I'd just be happy hanging out in his kitchen,
Yeah.
baking. I could deal with the two spiders that he found or that he had roaming around. That's about it. All the other stuff, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I can deal with those, especially the snakes.
Yes. Yeah. The Zoom worked for this, I think.
Zoom,
We're
Zoom
good.
was
We
great.
got his joy. We didn't need to worry about all the other stuff in his environment.
That
So,
is so true. That is so true. But you're so right. The next couple few weeks that
mhm.
we've got after
Yeah.
this one. So of
Yeah.
course, next week we have Dimi, who's
Yes.
going to be on our podcast, and the week after that will be Arvin. And I mean, I'm so excited for all of these, and they're just three gems of people. We're so grateful that the social media thing and this baking thing has let us connect with such wonderful human beings
A
across
world
the
away.
world.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so much fun.
it is.
So,
I love it. All right. Well,
same,
everybody,
same.
thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week when we bring to you Dimi, who was another one of the finalists in the Great Australian Bake Off. Thank you for being here. We hope you enjoyed Elliot as much as we did, and happy baking.
Happy baking, everyone. Bye.